And we will start this episode of Infinity Solutions. I have 1, 2, 3 Anuj. Are we good on YouTube? Thank you very much. You're already above and beyond, buddy. All right, guys. The picture that you see on the screen is going to be some of the designs that I'm going to show you. And they're pretty simple to do once you see them. So I'd like to welcome everybody to another episode of Infinity Solutions. My name is Mike Nashif, and I've got my team online today. We're going to do a recording session. We've got some people here in the live room that we'll be able to take some questions from later. And welcome to Infinity Solutions with the Infinity AAA project. And the purpose of this episode is to show you guys how to make what's being referred to as health wands, okay, magic wands, light wands, healing pens, plasma pens. They're all the same thing, okay? They all interact the same way, and they are commanded by your intent, okay? Now, when we make things out of copper wire, okay, every time you bend that copper wire, it starts to heat up because the atoms inside start to rub against each other. And this, we're going to call it friction, okay, is what causes the heat, causes the energy to raise. And every time you bend copper wire and twist it and move it around, you are activating its atomic structure. Okay? So every time you bend something like this, okay, every time you're activating that internal quantum structure, as you might call it now. I'm trying to look for the words that relate to what I'm trying to say here, okay? Now, I don't want to get mixed up that the quantum physics of things, okay, are still matter-based. And what we're working with here is light energy, and it's plasma. So it works differently, right? But I'm using it as an example so that you can imagine or look it up on YouTube or Google or whatever. You can use those references to get a visual for the structure that we're looking for, okay? Because that's how I like to describe my things, is that we are visual creatures. So I just want you to take the shape of the things that I reference and picture how you can turn that into copper wire and shape it with the copper wire, okay? And that's what we're doing, all right? Now, with these health pins, you're going to need a drill, okay? You're going to need several strands, different gauges of wire, okay? You're going to be utilizing all of them. I have 2 different sizes of pens here, okay? Length doesn't really matter. It's on your taste, okay? And, you know, just keep them straight, make them as straight as possible. Use the thickest wire that you've got, okay? And that's what we're going to work with right now. We're going to start out with the small one, all right? The small ones, you just put it in the end here, okay, the end of your drill. And clamp it down so that it's going to hold just fine. I put just enough in there to hold it, okay, probably about, you know, 1/4 of an inch. You know, you could do 1/2 an inch. You can put it all the way in if you want to, all right? That's fine. It's all depending on what you want to do, all right? This is your creativity. I'm just showing you how I do mine and how I start my stuff, okay? So I'm going to put this in and make it about 1/4 of an inch okay, in there. Just gauging. You can draw a line if you want to. It's important that your wire be as straight as possible, because you're going to be taking a copper wire, sticking it into the drill here, okay, and it's going to wrap around, okay. Well, if we were to, never mind, I won't do that part, okay. But we're going to start out first using a single wire, all right, just so you can see what we're doing here. I'll be using 18 gauge if you want. For this particular method, okay, we are going to be using a cold caustic. Okay, we're not going to be using the charcoal, the activated charcoal or ash water. You can use it, all right. If you choose to use this and make your own natural caustic, you may do so simply by, and somebody should be taking notes here so that we can get a little flyer going. You're going to need the plant that you want the healing to come from, okay? You need the actual plant, or you need the supplement, okay, that is most effective, okay? This is the same method that I used when I made this, all right? The only difference is that you have to boil the water, okay? If you're going to mix it with your ash water, you have to boil the water with the ash in it first, okay? Boil it. Let it boil for about 10 minutes, okay? You're raising the temperature of your water, okay? You're activating the carbon that is inside of that charcoal because of the heat. All right, and you make caustic solution, a weak caustic solution, but one nonetheless. Okay. At this time, when while you're boiling the water, you need to put in all of the, if you're going to use fresh plants, okay, put all of your plants, the stems, okay, the flowers if you want, whatever, okay, put that into the boiling water with your ashes. This will create your caustic water that you can utilize on these health pins, okay? That's the all-natural way of creating this caustic solution, okay? To me, every way is natural, all right? Even when we use the drain opener, we're just using a concentrated version of the wood, ash, and water. That's all we're using here. So you don't have to remember, everything that is around us came from creation. Okay, it had to be created somehow, and I don't want you to be afraid of it, because when we make the things that we're making, okay, when you talk about like things like the hydrogen bomb and things like that, you know, your fear of splitting an atom, okay, because that's what they told you. Well, we're not going in that direction. They're taking an atom and trying to split it in half. What we're doing is we're trying to make the fundamental principal fields, okay, that create that very atom. So we're going the other way from creation, okay, from the very beginning, upwards, okay, from the spiral upwards. And that is what we're working on, okay? And when it comes to your health pens, and anything that's plasma related, you saw in the picture, they've got one end that's bent over, right? It's all curled over. That's where the energy is going to collect in infinity, okay? And then you gave it a purpose by taking the wire and curling it and pointing it out this direction, all right? So now the plasma energy, when it's in that spiral, is going to gather, and it's going to shoot out the end like a laser beam, okay? The thicker your wire, the thicker your laser beam. Not the stronger it is, but the thicker. All right? I hope that makes sense. When, it's the same diameter as your wire, okay? It's the same diameter of the wire, and it comes out and then it shoots out the end like a laser beam, All right, and some of you guys have seen these health pen designs, and I would love to see them in the freezers, okay, to see what kind of energy fields that they give off, okay, whether they're in the water or they're up against the containers, because you have to think about it. The water ones are not really accurate for a health pen, okay. Sure, they're showing some of the energy fields, all right, that's fine, all right, but they're not really showing what it can do outside of the body, all right, because if you notice, we don't stick any of these health pens inside of our body. They're only touching the skin, right, or they're not even touching the skin in most cases. So we want to see it from the side of the jar, okay. We want to see what it looks like when you put 4 of these together and point them towards the center, okay. What does it look like that way? You know, those kinds of experiments. Those are the things that are going to get you the most effectiveness. Now, like I said before, if you're going to do this with natural caustic, then once you're done with it, okay, and you've boiled the water and you've got all the liquid and it's all cooled and everything, that's your cold caustic now. All right, all you got to do is just dip these pieces of copper, right, into that cold caustic. All right, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and start it off with this. I would recommend that you use gloves when you're dipping it. My fingers are pretty well doing okay. I do not, again, recommend you sticking your fingers in any caustic, okay? And when you're making these and you're using any of my stuff, my ideas, you do so at your own risk, guys, okay? I'm just here to show you. I'm not here to take anything from you. I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm just here to show you how to do this the way the light was meant to be used. All right? And what you'll see here, guys, is that I'm going to push this wire all the way to the back, okay, of this drill. And it's just sitting between the little space in between there. That's my gauge, all right? And I know that my drill is going to be turning to the right because that's what I want, always, all right? And so I take it, put it in there, I'll bend it over to crease it, okay? And I'm just sliding my finger across. Okay. Now, if you want, you can go back and forth here, all right, to create a capacitor effect. Okay. And I'm going to do that, but again, extend my wire here. Now, I go really slow. Let's see if I can get it up close and personal here. Okay. You see how tight the wind is here? Okay. That's what you want because you're going to turn around and your energy, okay, is going to flow from this end here, right, and flow outwards. So you want it to collect up here, and that's why we left that wire extra long inside of there, and I'll show you how to utilize that in a minute, okay? But when you stack the wires like this, now remember my wires are already nano-coated, okay? So I might have a little bit of difference in here. I need to just say that because I used my little paintbrush to paint all of these, so I might have a difference. If you guys want, paint all of the wire before you wrap it, okay? Paint it with your caustic, and you'll be fine. All right. You don't have to, and if you choose to, that's, you know, this all works the same, okay? And so what you see me doing here is that in order to get that over there, I've got to crease this slightly, okay, and give it a tiny turn, and then put it back into position where I want it to go, okay? And then from there, you just complete it. I didn't want to do that, so I'm going to go ahead and reverse. And as you can see, the days are involved in that. Okay? And this time we'll be a little bit more careful. And just continue on down to the end. Okay? And then from there, you're going to cut it a little short so it doesn't extend upon the plane here. Okay, so it doesn't extend. And then you'll see that I just bend the wire so that it's pointing downwards. Okay? Doesn't have to be real close. Doesn't have to be right next to it. All right? But you'll see this is how you can manage to get energy, all right, a lot of energy, out of just a single wire. All right? That's what we're doing. Now remember, when we made these, every time you switch directions, okay, at first we were starting from the right and going to the left. Okay? So we went all the way from the right, which is a gravitational energy, correct? So it's an attracting energy. So that very first layer of wire is an attracting energy all the way through, okay? And then we went back the other way, right? Well, when we went back the other way, we decided that we were going to create a magnetical energy, because now the energy is flowing backwards along that wire, okay? And it's got to go through every one of those turns that we've got there, and you don't have to count it. That's your security, okay? You don't have to count it, okay? And then when we went back again the other way, we created a gravitational again. So now you've got a gravitational, which is much longer, and it's going to connect to the power source, right? You have a smaller magnetical, which is underneath this one, okay? But it's slightly larger than the one that's on top. Okay, see if you can see that. Okay, slightly larger than the one on top. And so now you've got a sandwich of a magnetical energy field that is inside of here. Okay, remember that's blue or positive, that is sandwiched between red. And we'll get into this a little bit later. Okay, I'm going to show you the energy of all of these. All right. So this one is done. We're going to release it from the drill. And now we've got this extra wire here. What are we going to do with that? Okay. With the bigger wire, you need bigger tools. So keep that in mind. And we're going to make that little piece of energy. Okay, now keep this in mind. You can slide this pin out of here and it would be hollow on the inside. All right, it will still do the same exact thing. We're using the copper wire as the vessel or the body. Okay, the caustic solution as the skin. Okay, the skin is attracting the energy that you wanted, which was in your caustic. That's being stored on the inside of this wire as we speak, because it's working on the atomic level. already because I dipped it into this caustic over here. All right. So from here, what I'm going to do is take my pliers. Okay. I connect right here at the end. All right. So that I have, you know, obviously you want to use the thicker side of your pliers, but as you can see, it's flush with the end there. Okay. That's what I'm looking for here. All right. And then from there, I'm just going to bend this wire over the top. Okay. And then once it gets right about here, okay, you can curve it inwards and then move the pliers a little bit further down in the bend, okay, and curve it again. Okay. And now you've got yourself a little help bit. Because we've just given this plasma a purpose. Okay? And now you've got this extra wire here that you're just going to wrap. Finish it out. Okay? Whenever you hear me say finish it out, that means wrap the wire in the same direction that it was already started wrapping in. Okay? And point your end in the center of this circle here. And now you've got your first health pin using a single wire. If somebody would like to get a screenshot, you can. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay? So that's one way to do it with just a single wire. Okay? Well, 2 wires, a piece of big wire you're choosing, okay, and 20 gauge wire. Now, we're doing the same exact things with the bigger wires, okay? With the smaller wires, it doesn't matter here, all right? I'm going to go ahead and make a Trinity wire, okay, that's going to be long enough to wrap around this, okay? Now, when I say long enough, meaning I don't measure shit, all right? I don't expect you to measure. You just pull off some wire that feels good to you, all right? And you're about to witness what I do here. This is how I create this. For this one, I'm going to be using 22 gauge. Okay. I leave an end here. See me stretch this wire out. I guess there's about 2.5 feet here. Okay. So 2.5 feet would be, we'll go 3 feet just for, you know, about 3 feet of wire here. Okay. Then you're going to crease it at this point. Okay. Bring it back down here, crease it again, and bring it back. Okay, we've got 3 field interactions here now because there are 3 wires. All right, and that's what we're utilizing here. The power of 3. So what's going to happen when you do this and you put it on a health pin is it's going to take the energy that you create in this circle here, okay? It's going to transfer it down this single little wire here that happens to be wrapped in this Trinity wrap, okay? So that energy is going to be amplified by 3 times, okay? It's going to create a new set of conditions. You take the end that's got the piece coming out of it and not attached to the spool. Okay, all I do is just bend it over a little bit. Okay, and place it in the drill. And try to center it as much as I can. I'm using a smaller gauge wire because it's a lot easier to twist the wire together. Okay. I've used 20 gauge, I've used 18 gauge. 22 gauge does the same exact thing, and it's a lot easier to work with, so you don't, bigger is not necessarily better. So I'm holding this end over here with my pliers, okay, and then I'm going to make sure that this is turning to the right. Anybody care how many twists that is? All right. So, there's my security code. It also happens to be the strength at which you're going to have that energy field, okay? It's kind of like dialing in a firewall. That's what comes to mind. I see the whole internet circuitry, pathways of where it's got to go and travel through a server and all that, okay? So now I've got a 3-foot long Trinity wire here, okay? And just because I'm in the mood for different things, I'm going to go ahead and dip it in this health caustic that I've already made, okay? And you figure it out, okay? I'm lazy. I don't expect you guys to be lazy, okay? But you see what I'm doing here? We're just dipping it. Making sure that the wire is completely submerged. Okay. And now it's nano coated in my health caustic. If you want to know what's in this health caustic, then please watch the making of a custom caustic on the Infinity 888 project page or the channel on YouTube, and it's there. I recorded that live. Okay, now that we've made this, all right, set it off to the side, prep your drill, okay, with your longer wire or your longer soon-to-be health pin, okay. I'm going to push this one all the way back in there so that I have a little bit more wire at the end this time, so that I can do more of a coil, okay, instead of a circle. Okay. You see how it acts wobbly. You want to straighten it out as much as you can. Okay. Now you're going to take your little Trinity wire that you made, okay, and I suggest you use Trinities, okay, 3s, 5s, 7s, 9s, because they are from point A to point B, okay? They transfer the energy from one end to the other, and they multiply everything in between, okay? So that's what we're working with here. Now, again, I'm doing the same thing, just sliding the end in there, okay? Gotta move this one up off the way because it will slap you, okay? And then I'm just gonna roll it on here, okay? Be creative. If you know you're running out of wire soon, okay, do what you want with it. Make bigger spaces, okay? Bring it all the way down to the end of the pin. The more that you do, you're just creating interactions, okay? And everything in creation is based off of field interactions. So if you have the opportunity to make more field interactions, don't you think you should take it? All right? You have to think of the pathways in between here, okay, as the river beds. The central core has got a magnetical energy or a gravitational energy that is holding the positive plasma to its surface. Okay, it's adhering. And if you've seen any of my drawings where you can see the meniscus, okay, that was created from a spiral, that meniscus is being done by the plasma because it acts like water. And it's being held up in between each one of these little twists. Okay, let's get my big old finger out of there. All right, in between here is where the magic is happening. All right, on each one of these. Does it matter what the spacing is? No, it doesn't. Okay, because we're not dealing with that part. But what we are doing is trying to attract as much plasma. Okay, if you could think of some of those old cartoons, okay, where they've got, you know, like the Martians, where they have little plasma cannons and things like that. Okay, think of it similar to that kind of thing, but you're not really pulsing a weapon type stuff. You're just pulsing energy into your body. Okay, because you did the Trinity wire. Right, we've literally made a muscle, okay, that's connected to a brain, and that's our biggest thing here. It's giving and it's taking, okay, it's a push and a pull. Like I said, it's a muscle, and it's also returning, okay, so it's acting like a nerve. And it's going to seek the nerve ending that's in your body. And this is why it's so effective. Okay. When you're making health pens, I strongly urge, and I say again, I strongly urge you to use potassium of some sort, whether it's potassium hydroxide, okay, which is KOH, or a potassium supplement that you can buy from the store. Now, why am I asking or telling you that I strongly suggest this? Okay, potassium is a natural painkiller. It is the release agent for hydrogen, you know, in the water. And therefore, it allows to break down the water that's in your body so that it can flow through your system faster, right? Well, on the energetic level, okay, you get that same aspect, but it's talking to your nerves, okay? So if your nerves are kind of clogged up, so to speak, maybe there's some extra crap in it, it's like a carburetor cleaner, all right? It's going to clean all your nerves out and allow it to allow all the toxins that are built up to get flushed out, okay? Now you can make these many spirals as you want, all right? But everything travels in spirals, and that's why you see me making spirals. You know that. For those of you, we may have some new viewers, new people new to plasma technology. I encourage you to look at the Infinity Project YouTube channel, okay? Get caught up You can attend these meetings every Mondays now at 4, you know, to learn a little bit more about plasma and light energy and get an update for any new developments that we've got. Okay. So now you've got this health pin with a Trinity wire on it. It's been dipped in nano coating, okay, the custom caustic. And what we do from here is I'll dip it again, okay. And then I will get myself a little plastic bag, okay. This is a lunch sandwich bag. Try to get one that'll fit. Take and fit inside of there, okay? And seal it up. Keep it warm, okay? Remember, it's like skin. So when you want it to turn black, okay, and you want to see the nano coating, then you put it in the plastic bag. The carbon and the hydrogen bond inside of the plastic starts to break down because of the caustic solution. Okay, that creates a magnet on the surface of the copper wire, which starts to attract the dark matter. Okay, the dark matter is the nano coating. Okay, don't be afraid if you've ever burnt toast or you've ever picked up charcoal or anything like that. Okay, you've picked up a dry version of dark matter. So think about that for a minute. If you're concerned or you don't understand what copper oxide is, okay, and how can it be a natural thing, the Statue of Liberty is covered in green stuff, okay? It's not paint, guys. The Statue of Liberty is copper, and it's mixing with the salty air, therefore it brings and creates copper oxide. And that's why it's green, okay? Your rust from your nails, okay? If you were to put some galvanized nails into fresh water and let them sit there and rust, you have created CH3. Okay, that affects the physicality of humans, the physical part, your muscles, okay, things like that. And it's not that difficult to fully understand all of that kind of stuff, okay? So now I'm going to put both of these health pins in here that I've made so far. And you can use heat for these, okay? You can nano coat them with caustic if you want, but this is for a custom health pin, okay, with a custom caustic that's in there. Now, what we're doing, what you can do with that, okay, is you can also put it on a burner, okay, your stovetop burner, and just turn it on high, and you'll see the copper turn to gold, okay? After being there for a few minutes, it will turn gold, and once the whole device has turned gold, okay, take it off the heat for about 3 minutes, okay? And then when you put it back onto the heat, okay, it'll turn gold again, and then it'll start to turn black. That's what you want. When you take it off of the heat, okay, from the first time while it's turning gold, right? You're basically setting a gauge, okay? Because that copper wire is going to heat up and heat up and heat up and heat up. And once it's gold, then you can tell that the whole device is the same temperature, okay? That's the point. The whole device is the same temperature. And once it stays gold for a few, 30 seconds, 45 seconds or so, okay? Then you take it off the heat, and now that temperature is lowering again. So it only reached this high. And when you do that, you're setting the nano temperature, okay? You're setting the threshold of where you want it to begin. Okay, and so when you take it off for about 3 minutes, it'll cool back down. It's still very hot. Okay, you put it back on the burner, and the temperature goes right back up. Okay, you'll see that it goes up a little bit faster. Okay, it'll turn gold again. Okay, then you just keep it on there until it turns black. Do not put it in water. I'll say that again. Do not put it in water while it's hot. If you do, you blast off all of your nano coating that you've just created. Okay? The reason why I say use a stove and not a torch, because if you put a torch to your skin, you're going to get blisters on the outside. Okay? Your blisters are going to peel off and separate from the rest of your skin. Okay? That's the same thing that would happen if you were to put a torch to copper wire. You're going to create a skin, but the skin is going to peel off. Okay? It's going to be light and flaky. When you use a stove, the temperature is a gradual rising. Okay? And you interact with all of the atoms at the same exact time. When you're using a stove like a regular kitchen stove, okay, that's not a flame, you're using an induction coil. So you are including the copper wire in that induction field, okay, which is allowing and holding on to the energy to keep it attracting to the copper wire. Okay, you created a potential difference between your stovetop and your copper wire on an energetic level. Okay, that's why copper wire works. Now, I don't know, I haven't tested, okay, used any other metal on my stove other than copper. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, are there any questions? If you're new to the chat for the first time, okay, there is a chat button located in there, and you are able to type into the chat if you don't have a microphone. If you want to speak during the meetings, you have to unmute your microphone with your mouse or your finger, depending if you're on a tablet or not, and then it will be able to speak. Or then we'll be able to hear you. Okay? No questions. All right. We're going to go ahead and end this meeting for now. We're just going to stop record. Everybody go ahead and please